please, Sixtine Crutchfield, join me here on stage. Grazie a Sixtine Crutchfield per raggiungerci qui sul palco. Here you have your place in which you can talk about something that I think it's really interesting, qualcosa di davvero interessante. And so, digitalization and art.
Correct. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for having me here. I'm sorry I don't speak Italian, so it's going to have to be in English. I see some of you smiling, so it's not a problem, obviously. So I run WiseArt. WiseArt is a digital art but also physical art marketplace, which is run online with the company called WiseKey. WiseKey has been in cybersecurity, in semiconductors, and in electronic chips for the last 25 years. They've secured the Vatican, they've secured the UN, they've secured lots of different companies and countries as well, like the Seychelles or Algeria. So they have many different uses. We also sell Wise ID, which is a digital database for your own personal protection on the internet. We're very adamant on protecting the human being in the internet. And now with artificial intelligence coming and quantum computing, it's very important that people take this seriously. And so this is where we try and help. And my part in this is a drop in the ocean in WiseKey's ocean, because I take care of the art platform and sometimes fashion as well. I'm an art historian by training, and we work with physical artists who work traditionally, and we tag their physical art pieces with microchips, and then they are linked to what they call an NFT, which is a token, which is then minted or registered, recorded on a blockchain. Obviously, it's a little bit complicated for those who don't know, but it's the only way to actually record a certificate of any sort. It can be for fashion, a label. I heard people talking about various labels, about the origin of the different materials. Thank you. And so all that can now be secured and on the blockchain, and it will never be tampered with. It cannot be changed. If there's any changes made on the blockchain, it's recorded. And as far as art is concerned, it creates a provenance. The biggest difficulty now in the art market, has been for forever, is to trace back the provenance. And you're very lucky in Italy, you've got Renaissance art, but you've got Roman art, and you know, like it goes back many centuries and millenniums. And the difficulty is always to trace back the provenance to make sure that it's authentic. So I've got this very long-term vision where anybody today who creates an artwork should put it on the blockchain, because it means that it will not be tampered with. And through the blockchain, for those who know how to read it, they can always trace back who the owner was initially. So that's what we're on about. On the different images that you saw, I was trying to link it to fashion. And as you know, we've just had the Met Gala, with a lot of very natural and also ostentatious, if you want, pieces, not very easy to wear for some of the ladies. I saw that there were dresses made out of sand, and people had to be carried up the stairs because they couldn't bend their knees. So I don't know exactly how commercial that is, but it does show one thing. It shows that in today's society, people are worried about the planet, and they are worried about sustainability, and that's probably the most important thing, and that's why we're all here. I just went to the Cannes Film Festival, same thing. There were some unbelievable dresses, but there was linen, there was silk, there was natural products, and that was very, very interesting compared to the 70s, I guess, where it was all plastic and stretch and et cetera, et cetera. So it's all part of it. Now, one thing that I wanted to say, and I know it's been touched upon and you know, with other speakers as well, is the logistics of it all. Because whether it's art or whether it's fashion, there's a big problem with shipping. And so what WiseKey does is we've got this what we call smart containers. And so whatever goes across on these big container ships, and a lot of containers get lost in the sea, and there's a lot of pollution with that, and also a lot of, obviously, money being lost there. We can now trace the containers, and the port in Abu Dhabi has already adhered to this program. We've got Pico satellites, which are being launched into the first layer of the atmosphere from Spain and from Florida, with SpaceX from Cape Canaveral. And there's about 80, well, not quite now, but we plan by the end of next year to have 80 satellites going around, and they will be tracing all those containers that have been tagged by us. It means there's something like 60 million chips being sold every year in your cars, in your phones, in your tablets, everywhere, in your TVs. And all those can be traced, but the information on there has to be protected, and that's what we sort of offer. In the art world as well, a lot of people are looking at the packing and the handling of artworks, and I guess it's the same with expensive and not expensive fashion items, but everything now can be natural. Cardboard can be natural. You don't need to have bubble wrap to wrap a painting anymore. You can use silk paper. You can use all sorts of woods that have been treated that does not have to be destroyed. In the old days, like if you think about all the art fairs in the world, there's probably one art fair somewhere in the world every month. And people make crates for their paintings, and then they get destroyed. That's it. They go home because it's too expensive to store them. So now there's collapsible crates. There's all sorts of materials where that you don't need wood to wrap a painting in. And what's interesting is that the insurance companies are looking at that as well, and they're defending people who make an effort in using recyclable packing materials to go into the crates. What's important as well with the chips, if a crate is or a painting is being chipped, it means that you can trace back the humidity, you can trace back temperature control, you can trace back if it's been moved, but not just from point A to B, but if it's been moved rapidly, i.e. it fell off a wall or somebody dropped it. All that can be traced now very easily. So I think it's just a matter of time before it becomes something organic that we all use. And as far as fashion is concerned, they're trying to, I went to Innovation Plus, which was in Paris, and they're really trying to stop the production. I mean, there's a lot of production. There's now 4 seasons instead of 2, but they're trying to build or to produce less items. So, for example, I went to one of the Karl Lagerfeld conferences, and they had a mirror, and I stood in front of the mirror, and I could try on a jacket which was in Japan, which is stored in their shop in Japan, and I could have it on me. I could see it in the mirror. I could move, I can turn around, and I can see it. And then you're sitting there in Paris thinking, okay, I want that jacket. You just order it. They don't have to have one in Paris and one in Japan. And so things like that, it's metaverse, it's we're talking science fiction, but not really. It is there now, it does exist, and people are doing it more and more. I know the fashion industry is investing huge amounts of money for that sort of service, to work in the metaverse and in augmented reality and that sort of thing. So I know you wanted to talk about inclusivity as well. Obviously, the gender question is also important, and men, women, we wear the same things now, and men tend to wear more feminine things, or women tend to wear more masculine things. It doesn't really matter. But that also impacts on the fashion industry, because obviously it's getting consolidated, and I think that's very interesting that both genders are as interested and as keen to protect the environment, and having one line of fashion for some brands is probably one way of doing it, I think.